What was Ubisoft thinking with this one? Roni ACOG is one of the most insane things that they could possibly add to the new season of Rainbow Six, but luckily they already removed it from the TTS because they actually understood how broken it was. So this won't be coming in the new season of Rainbow Six, but there are some other things that are coming that are almost just as absurd. For example, Goyo ACOG is basically the exact same thing as the Roni ACOG with just a little bit more recoil. The Vector, however, also has more bullets, so it almost balances out. It's not quite as good as the Roni ACOG. I'm not trying to say this is as good as the Roni ACOG, but it's still really, really good. And if that's not a good enough example for you, then Tubero ACOG is even more absurd than the Roni ACOG. This thing does 2 shots to the body, has a crazy range, and you put an ACOG on it. This is messed up. Tubero's already good enough. Plus, he counters the new operator, so it's just like, wow, let's just make Tubero the best ever by giving him the ACOG. But to be fair, he never probably should have had this DMR in the first place because it's just crazy to put on a defender. Basically, what I'm trying to say is there are some wild changes coming to the new R6 season, and we're going to talk about every single change, what makes them good or what makes them bad, and how Ubisoft should actually fix them, hopefully before the season comes out. So Ubisoft, if you're watching, I got you, boys. I got you. Hit my DMs if you have any questions. I got you. I'm a professional. I'm a professional in this area. I can balance your whole game for you. Check it out. Watch this shit. But let's go back to that Roni ACOG for a second, because a lot of people were saying that they should take the Roni ACOG and give it to Jaeger instead. For me, this is a hard no. Jaeger with the ACOG, he's going to be picked literally every single round. He's already good enough as is, but then you give him this AR on defense with an ACOG, you're going right back to Spawn Peak City, and Jaeger's never going to not be picked. So I think this is a terrible idea, but if it happens, I wouldn't be mad. Like, I would still have a good time playing Jaeger ACOG and playing against it. I wouldn't be mad about it. I just think it's not ideal for balancing purposes. And to be honest, ACOGs in general on the defense should probably go entirely. I don't think there's any operators except for maybe Rook and Doc that should have it. And even then, I don't even really want them to have it because I still don't want my teammates to pick Rook and Doc every round. And the only reason I say Rook and Doc should have it is because it's really the only one that makes sense for their loadout. Firstly, they're both 1-speed, so they can't just zoom around the map with an ACOG, which is the first part of this. The second part is that their loadouts revolve around having health and killing people. Their only ability is health, staying alive, and shooting. Like, that, there's no actual depth to their ability besides having extra health. So basically, they're just like juggernauts. Give the juggernauts an ACOG? Sure. Go ahead. Cool. I'm fine with that, but the rest of them, get them out of here. We don't need the ACOGs on defense because it changes up the entire way the game is played, and I'm just not a fan. By giving ACOGs to the defender, it tells them, hey, you should take these really long-range fights, and Siege really isn't about that. It's more about the attackers opening up these long-range angles to have the advantage at the range because that's what their gadgets are designed for. Then with the defense, you should have to play the closer range angles with the shotguns and the submachine guns and take these close-range fights to gain the advantage. I think that's what Siege is at its core, and that's why I just don't want the ACOGs on the defense. But if they're there, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to use them still, obviously, because they're OP. So in my perfect world, the ACOGs are out of here. Then we have the ADS speed changes, which overall I think are amazing. If you don't know, the aim down your sights time in the new season will be much, much slower. So if you've ever been in a situation where you're holding an angle and a guy comes sprinting around the corner and somehow still aims down their sights and fries you, this should happen much less often because it's going to take a lot longer for them to actually pull their gun up to shoot. Well, not pull their gun up, but aim down their sight. Pull their gun up and then aim down their sight. The aim down the sight process is what's taking longer here. That way you're actually rewarded for having the better positioning or holding that angle, and you're not just going to get fried by someone walking around with their sights down. I think this is a perfect change, and there is nothing I would change about this. Fantastic work. But then we have some attachment changes, which is here where we get a little dicey, because there's a new loadout in town that just happens to be superior to all the rest, and it's what I'll be running on all my operators unless it's changed before the season comes out. But before we talk about what that loadout is, we need to understand how all the new attachments work. I also quickly want to announce that I launched YouTube membership, so if you want to subscribe to my YouTube, support me, and also get all your comments replied to, which is really the only benefit of doing this, then feel free to join that. You can click the join button under this video. I do really appreciate any support you guys have for me. Even just watching this video is more than enough, so thank you. Okay, so the new attachments, give different buffs now, so we have to actually understand what they are. Firstly is the iron sight. So when you equip iron sights on a gun, you will have a 10% aim down sight speed buff, and that's only 10% on the new speed. And then you have your one-time sight category, which gives you a 5% ADS speed buff. And then with the magnifying scopes like the 2.5s and the 3.5s, you're aiming down your sight at the new normal speed, which is the slower version of what is currently on the live build. So the new ADS speed is what you get with the ACOGs and the 3.5s attached. But here's the problem, because the iron sight buff is just not substantial enough. It's not actually motivating you to pick the iron sights because it almost feels the exact same as using an ACOG sight. It doesn't feel like it's any faster, so there's no reason to actually pick them. And it's the same problem with the one-time sights. That 5% increase is not noticeable whatsoever. So in my opinion, I think there needs to be more incentive to pick the iron sights or the one-time sights, because there's just nothing over the ACOG right now, and the ACOG is just the best sight. You can see more, you have more vision, you can hold much longer angles, and you just have a massive advantage when you use the ACOG. And then you have the laser sight attachments, which increases your ADS speed by 15%. And even when you have the laser sight with the iron sights, it's still not that much faster. It's like still not that good. Plus you can put the laser sight on with the ACOG scope, and basically you just want to put laser on everything now because it's giving you this slight boost. So if we want to take this change and make it perfect, I'm suggesting we increase your ADS movement speed with the iron sights, and then maybe decrease it with the ACOGs. That way when you're aimed down your sights with the iron sights, your character actually moves faster, so you can be more mobile and be more aggressive with those lower scope sights. And then with the ACOG, you can't peek quite as quick, so you're kind of slowly moving around the corners and you're easier to shoot at. That way there's some sort of balance between the two, and then you actually have to be more aware of which one you're picking based on certain situations or certain circumstances, so there's more of an actual choice in the matter. And I think we run into a similar situation with the grips, because the horizontal grip, the new grip that's coming in Year 9 Season 1, is insanely good because you move so fast. So horizontal grip makes you move faster, vertical grip still helps with your recoil, and then the angled grip increases your reload speed by 20%, which is actually pretty fast. You do reload a lot quicker with this thing, but you like just reload in a safe spot like you normally would, and you don't need it. So I think angled grip is completely out of the picture. Vertical grip, I would only use it if my recoil control is kind of bad, and the rest of the time, for me personally, I'm always running the horizontal grip. And this all together leads to the ultimate loadout, which is why Goyo is so strong this season, as well as Tubero, which is the ACOG scope with the horizontal grip and the laser sight. I personally just run the suppressor on the Vector because I find it's easier to control the recoil with, plus it's the suppressor, so it's a bit of a buff. And then with Tubero's DMR, you can put kind of whatever. I think I run muzzle brake on this, but you could put suppressor on as well if it's even capable of using that. I'm not sure. And this loadout fries. Like you can just move so fast, you can peek stuff so quickly, and then you have the range, and then you have the high rate of fire or the high damage, depending on which person you're talking about. And it's just lethal. It's disgusting. It's gross. So I honestly think neither of these operators should have the ACOG, but hey, they got it right now, and if they continue to have it, I will be playing them all the time in Year 9 Season 1. But here's where we run into our next issue, and it's with the laser sights. Because the laser sights now give you that ADS speed bonus and not the hip fire bonus, shotguns are kind of ass now, because the hip fire spread on the shotguns is much wider, meaning your hip fire with a shotgun doesn't kill as frequently and at as far of a range. If you weren't using laser sights on shotguns before, then this doesn't really apply to you, but you should have been, because they are really, really strong, because they just give you the extra hip fire range. But now with shotguns, you can't hip fire as well, so you want to be ADS most of the time, but then your ADS speed is also slowed down. Even with the laser sight on, you're still ADSing pretty slow. So shotguns overall are just a lot weaker now. Plus, every single attacker now has an ACOG sight, meaning they can take those really long range fights. So they're going to be keeping their distance a little more. And you're playing close range with the shotgun, and 2 and 2 are not really adding together to your advantage. So here's how we take this slight inconvenience and make it just beautiful. We potentially add another attachment option to tighten the spread. So another laser sight option to that selection box thing. This was actually an idea I got from Macy J, who he posted on Twitter about, where he said they should add another attachment, essentially to be what the old laser sight was. So something to increase the spread, where you don't want that ADS speed increase, and instead you want that spread increase. So another attachment, whether it's like a certain type of shell or whatever it may be, something that you can bring back that old laser sight. To add on to this, I think being able to put the horizontal grip on shotguns would also be sick. Like, let's pump up the pumps, baby. Being able to move quicker with them, just having a little more versatility. And then if they add that iron sight buff where it gives you that increased movement speed, that would be sick too. Make shotguns just as good as you are making all the other guns by giving them ACOGs, and I'm cool with it. That's perfect. But right now, shotguns are looking sad for the new season. Then we have another new feature, which I'm calling the utility liner upper, which is this cool arrow thing that shows you where your utility is gonna fall when you hold it out. And this is freaking awesome. You can throw things through windows, you know, little pieces of stuff. It's very nice for calculating exactly where you want to put something, and it even shows you like a bank arrow if you're throwing a grenade or whatever. But the one small issue is that this line needs to disappear when you start moving, because it is not accurate at all, and it actually just doesn't end. Whether you're moving forward or backwards, it literally just goes into a straight line when you start moving, and you think that your utility is still going to go along it, but it doesn't. It's just very confusing. It's not intuitive at all. I think once you start moving, the entire line should just disappear, as if you were trying to throw a C4 while moving forward so you can get that extra range, or whatever you're trying to do. This thing needs to go away, because it's perfect for when you're standing still, but then very, very fucked up for when you're not. So yeah, just a small change. Let's just get rid of it. Let's just get rid of it when I'm moving. That's all, because it's not doing anything besides being confusing otherwise. And then we have the shield rework, which I think is a great quality of life change. You can't hip fire with them anymore. You can kind of do these bashes through barricades and stuff, but it doesn't really change too much. I think the shields are a little bit stronger overall, but I'm okay with it because there's still great counters like impact grenades, traps, and of course Legion being the ultimate counter to the shields. There's just one small issue. I don't know if this is a bug on the test server or what it is, but if it's not a bug, this is absolutely horrible. Because you can just see their toes when they're crouched, whether you're Blitz, Monty, or Fuse. When you're crouched, your whole bottom of your body is exposed, and it's really, really easy to shoot it as a defender. At least on PC, because you can aim up and down a little easier. On console, it might be a little tougher, but we definitely need to get rid of what is this? Stop. Why are we doing this? Because shields are just completely garbage if that's the case. So let's just fix that up real quick, Ubi. Thanks, boys. I know you got my back with that one. Huge moves, thank you. And then after Azami being the greatest operator in the game for the past 2 years, we finally have a nerf where you can now break the Kiba barriers by shooting them. And I think Azami is still insanely strong even with this nerf. She just needs to be played a little bit differently, making her less versatile overall. Basically what you need to do now is play very close to your Kibas, because if you throw them super far away from you, the attackers can get a bunch of different angles to break them from safe spots, but if they're right up against you, if they're trying to shoot at them, you're able to actually peek off of the Kiba and shoot them instead. So Azami's still going to be great for cover, still great for on-the-fly plays, like throwing one down and making a big play, and overall she's still going to be really, really good, but this is definitely something that's going to take her down a notch. Because she was just way too versatile. She was able to do literally everything, every single site, all the time, and that is just too strong of an operator. So I'm glad we finally got this change, and honestly, I wouldn't change anything else. Sometimes Ubisoft goes a little too hard in the nerf department, like we see with Nock, where Nock is literally like the worst operator in the game now. They got rid of her silent step, they nerfed grenades, they made her gun worse, and now she's complete dog shit. So I'm glad they didn't do this with Azami. I'm glad they're taking it a little bit, like a small step at a time. So good work, Ubi. Shout out to you. The nice part about the ACOGs being back as well is we got some of the classics back, baby. We got the Twitch F2 ACOG. We got the Ash R4C ACOG. Life is good. I love the attackers having ACOG. I think all of them should. And I love this. And I love it. And it's so exciting. And it's so fun. And it's a great time. But we have a couple more things to talk about because we got a brand new operator, baby. But before we talk about Deimos, let's talk about one last change that Ubisoft made, which is LMGs. LMGs are back, baby. Well, Finka LMG is back, and Zofia LMG is still kind of ass. It's just got a little bit of horizontal recoil, but Finka LMG, dude, insane. Finka's back in full force. LMG ACOG only vertical recoil. You can put the horizontal grip on it. It's amazing. Ying is even more OP now because Warden doesn't have a 1.5, so nobody's going to play him. So Ying's even stronger. Plus her LMG is better. Life is good, dude. Life is good. I love LMGs. I love the LMG meta. I don't know why. I probably sound like a psychopath right now, but the LMGs are just so fun. You can just go around corners holding down the trigger, and I think they're honestly still pretty well balanced. So the thing that changed about LMGs is you now have a movement speed decrease, so you are moving slower with the LMGs. With Think LMG, you can put the horizontal grip on. With Zoe LMG, I'd probably put the vertical grip. That horizontal recoil is kind of crazy. Maybe throw the compensator on as well. But yeah, I think this is an exciting change. I think it makes them valuable. I think it makes the thought into whether you want to bring it or not actually exist, because everybody just stopped playing them because they nerfed them so hard. Again, another moment where Ubisoft like over nerfed something. But anyway, yeah, LMG is back. Yeah, cool. Let's talk about Deimos. Deimos is super fun, and he's actually really solid, especially if you have a stack. So if you're with a 5 stack or you're calling out based off your pings, I would go as far as say Deimos is the most fun operator we've ever got. I'll let you play him yourself and make your own conclusion on that. He's got some really cool strategies you can do with them, like having a lion with a Deimos, because then while you're tracking them, if they move, now your whole team knows where they are. So if you're hunting down a roamer with a lion and a Deimos, it's gonna be a really lethal combo that we'll probably see in the new season. And then Vigil is also a counter to Deimos, which is really nice because Vigil was kind of on the lower side of things. He wasn't getting a lot of action, so now he's kind of back in the mix here. He's nice to keep your roam alive, and the same goes with Tubero and Mute. So Tubero actually also counters Deimos. You can freeze yourself while Deimos is tracking you, and then it just won't work. So you just stand in your freeze, and it won't work. Same with the Mute Jammer. I don't know about this because Tubero's already really good. Mute is even better. I think Mute's one of the best defenders in the game, so giving him this ability as well, it's just classic. It's like, well, yeah, it's a Mute Jammer. Like, how could he not counter it, you know? So it's kind of hard to justify, like, Mute not countering him, but at the same time, Mute just counters everyone. Like, Mute is so good. I don't know what to do in this situation, but yeah, Tubero, Mute, gonna be super OP. Like I said, Tubero's gun is insane too, so like, I'm still not gonna pick Vigil because I'm just gonna pick Tubero or Mute if I'm trying to counter this guy. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. At this point, I'm thinking Tubero might be the best defender in the game. It might even still be Azami. Azami is still so good. But I'm really excited for Year 9 Season 1, and even just Year 9 in general. I think Ubisoft have knocked it out of the park with this one, and it's going to be a great season, boys. So stay tuned, and we'll see if any of this information changes before the new season actually comes out. Peace out.